The chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, State Representative of House District 91, and I welcome you to the People's House. We are so excited that you're here with us today for the Legislative Black Caucus Lunch and Learn. And today we have a very special guest that's with us today, who flew all the way in from Johannesburg, South Africa, to talk to us a little bit about doing business in Africa and about his great success. So we have in the house with us today Mr. Gilberto Rodrigues, and he is going to be an insight of information. We are so pleased to have you here with us today. But before we do that, one of the things that we try to do here in the Black Caucus is to make sure that we bring every resource that we can to the citizens of Georgia, because we know that the world is so big. Sometimes we may not get the information unless we filter it down to the state level and then the national level. And so we're proud today that we can do that once again here in Georgia. And so one of the things I need to do, Josh, do me a favor, close that door, close that. One of the things that we want to do is just to allow you to soak in this information, because this is great information, and it'll be very helpful, because I see some of the people in the room who had different associations that do work around the country, not just in Georgia. And so we're glad that you all are here. And so we're going to give you a moment to introduce yourselves as well. So I want to introduce a good friend of mine, who I've known for years. We do a lot of work together, who kind of introduced me to Mr. Rodrigues' work that he's been doing in Africa. Because you know, here at the GLBC, we recognize people who are doing outstanding work on the continent. And so I was able to read his portfolios and knew that that was something that we would be happy to honor here in Georgia based on the work that he's done throughout the continent of Africa. And so Keith Granberry, I want you to come up. Keith Granberry and I go way back. We've been working on political campaigns, I don't want to say how long, but a long time. We go back. And Keith, he used to head up the Urban League in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, so he's very astute when it comes to business deals and relationships. So he's going to talk just a little bit before we have Mr. Rodrigues speak. Keith Granberry.
To be here to talk a little bit about Gilberto, because I think it's important that when you have leaders who not only care about the work that they do, but care about the people that they impact. And as the president of the Urban League, you understand that my job was to create economic empowerment for the communities. That's what we're about. And I met Gilberto about a year ago, and we were doing work in Lesotho, and we're looking at building a university over there in Lesotho. And Gilberto really cared about the process. He's a stickler for detail, he's a perfectionist, but he really cares about the work that he does on the continent, and he cares about providing opportunities for people in that continent. You know, sometimes people bring their own resources in. For instance, many times the Chinese, they go into Africa and they bring all the people from China in to do work on the continent of Africa. But Mr. Rodrigues is someone who believes that the work that is done in the communities are there to empower the community and change lives. So I'm proud to be able to work with him this past year. It's amazing to take a company from a $300 or $200 million company to over $1 billion US. Think about that, $1 billion US, and his leadership and vision has done that. So I'm gonna let him do all the talking. I just wanted to say that he's someone that has a lot of wealth of information and a lot of knowledge, and it's a treat to have someone of his stature here to speak to you guys. So I wanted to thank Mr. Rodrigues for what he does, and also Mr. Ratan, who works with him as well. He's here as one of his top advisors with the company based in Ohio. So I wanted to thank them for being here and thank them for taking the time to come down and give everyone this information that could be helpful to business in Africa. Thank you.
And so one of the things that we do with the Black Caucus is make sure that we recognize our own. So today we have with us Representative Darshan Kendrick. Darshan, stand up. So Darshan, come here, Darshan. So Darshan is also a business attorney, and so we appreciate all of the advice that she gives us. So Darshan, I want you to give greetings to all the people. Darshan is in my delegation, and so I'm proud of all the people that are in my delegation. She's the baby of our delegation. Okay, Darshan.
opportunity. I appreciate it. I represent State House District 93, which is East DeKalb, South Gwinnett. I used to represent Rockdale County, but after they drew its lines, I now represent DeKalb and Gwinnett County, which is about 54,000 people. I am a business attorney, and I focus on private equity, fundraising, and crowdfunding, which is a fascinating area for me, especially since we have a special guest that's going to talk about those opportunities. So I appreciate putting me on the spot here to speak to you all, but of course, any advice that I can give just generally about the business environment in Georgia as a whole, particularly as it relates to DeKalb County and Gwinnett counties that I represent. I try to do that because I am a big proponent of business development, especially providing access to capital to businesses that need it. So that's all I can say.
That's good. And so you see that in DeKalb County, we're always ready. All right, so she did a great job. So now I'm going to bring you up, Mr. Rodrigues, and I just want you to kind of give a little talk today to the people that are here about Africa, what Mota-Engril is, how you got involved in the business, challenges, rewarding things, the passion. You gotta just kind of tell us how you got to this point to go from 300 million to $1 billion company, because we want to know how you do this and we can do it too. Now you've been a beacon of light, so you have inspired many of us, so we want to know how you do that. And now we don't want you to talk all day because we have to eat, but we want you to take as much time as you need to kind of get the point across, because we're ready to have this wonderful luncheon with you as well. And so I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to bring up the CEO, Mr. Gilberto Rodrigues from Mota-Engril, as he comes to talk to us about leadership and lifestyle. And before he does that, we have Representative Sandra Scott that just came in. Wave, Sandra, because we have okay, that's Representative Sandra Scott. Okay, come on up, we're ready for you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon to all of you. The chair of GLBC, relative the Hawkins Agnew, relative Dashan Kendrick, relative Sandra G. Scott, GLBC members, GLBC staff, all protocols observed, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my single honor and privilege to be among you today in this particular event. And also I am extremely honored to the fact that you gave me this few minutes to provide some views and some insights about the business in Africa, how to do business in Africa. But before to get into the matter, let me say that you have got here with GLBC a remarkable organization on the American political arena, and also a lighthouse for African leaders, and African leaders which they like to motivate activities that you are doing so well here in the United States of America. I would consider Atlanta the warm heart of the United States of America. For someone like me that is working in Africa in the last 15 years, in a company that was created in Africa in 1946, all our life, business life has been in Africa. It is indeed feeling at home when I am in Atlanta.
That means you're going to buy a house here.
She told the truth.
Well, my name is Gilberto Rodrigues. I'm Portuguese by born. I'm in Africa in the last 15 years. I'm currently the CEO of this company called Mota-Engril Africa. Mota-Engril started in Angola in 1946 as a small construction company. Was working in Africa since 1946. We never stopped working in Angola, neither in other countries that Mota-Engril has been present. Although, on 1977, the company decided to keep a leg in Africa, but start also operating in Europe, namely in Portugal. And for many, many years, Europe was perhaps the biggest market, and Africa the smallest market. 15 years ago, I was invited to go and work as a project manager to build a road in Malawi. And when I got there, I understood that Africa was indeed the DNA of our company. And the ambition that we have for the company could be much better materialized in Africa rather than in Europe. And from that January, February of 2001, I'm working in the continent. First and foremost in Malawi, after in Angola, today sitting in South Africa, but overseeing operations in 14 countries. So today we have operations from Cape Verde to Ghana, to Gabon, to Cameroon, to Angola, to South Africa, Malawi, Mozambique, St. Mary's Prince, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Rwanda, starting soon in Kenya and Tanzania. So this company that I represent works in all kinds of fields of infrastructure, from bridges to roads, from airports to ports, from housing to hospitals, but also we do mining, we do logistics, we do oil and gas, we do energy, and also we do environment. So we have a full range of businesses across the continent. We employ 14,000 local people. We have got over 20 nationalities working with us. And we have also some Americans working with us. The company has been extremely ambitious. And the way that we have designed business is to be on the delivery mode. We believe that we have to deliver, and we believe that we have to be extremely reputable on what we do. So governments and clients, they really appreciate what Mota-Engril is doing. We have got also an ambition like your chair, a 2020 ambition. We'd like to be in 2020 around $3 billion sales. So it means that in 5 years from now, we shall be triplicating our business. And for that we need to create opportunities, to create networks, to generate relationships, to have more friends, and also to have the best in terms of compliance and governance, because it attracts investment and attracts also the confidence for someone to invest in our company, or to co-invest with us, or to team up with us. We consider ourselves a company that does indeed the following. We are an African solution for African challenges. We go to the extra mile to solve a problem. We don't put our arms down when the problems they arrive. We face them, we fight them. We do it because we have got shareholders and stakeholders, but moreover, we have got 14,000 employees. And in Africa, as you know, unemployment is extremely valuable. In Africa, you have a concept of extended families. So in Africa, someone that has got a job has to create the conditions for his family to have money to buy food, to have money to pay school fees for their children, but also have money to send to their relatives in the village and to pay for their parents. So for me, it's extremely important to create conditions for my staff to have enough in order to have their lives quite stabilized. So we are motivated, yes, by profits, like any other company, but also motivated by a concept of to have the welfare for our staff. And also to have our staff progressing, creating opportunities, allow them to raise in organization, and allow them to be more and more capable and take leading roles in our organization. They shall feel very loyal to the company, because also the company is very loyal to them. So this is indeed how we operate in Africa. This is indeed why we have been successful. This is indeed why we are able to tender wind projects and deliver on time. Because everyone understands that if we deliver on time, if we are reputable, our clients will give us another job, will give us another opportunity. At the very same time, when you create critical mass and when you create the conditions to have the staff satisfied and have the financial muscle to invest, you are able to generate a competitive advantage that others they don't have. I was last week in Mozambique with someone from CBNI, a company from the United States of America. And I was telling the manager there, I have got here 14,000 employees. I have got here 5,000 machines. But I have done a project of $1 billion for a mining house, building a relay line. And I have 22 million hours of work without one accident, one fatal accident. And that is what we deliver. And when we start working on that particular relay line 3 years ago, my staff, the 3,400 people that work on that project, they never ever seen a relay line in their life. It was the first time. So to train the people, to motivate them, and to let them very capable to take other kinds of projects in the continent and to deliver with the quality and the standard that the world demands for a world-class project. So this is pretty much my vision towards to business, to be very encompassing in terms of what we bring to the table, to provide solutions and to be hands on the job. Be very determined and very resilient, because Africa is all about resilience. You don't give up on the first moment. You have to continue, because the life is not easy. But if you work hard and you put your heart and your soul on the project and what you do, you indeed will be able to achieve. And Mota-Engril, honestly speaking, is a company of achievers. From the most humble person in the company to the highest person in the company. We are in the spirit of mission because our obligation is beyond us. Nelson Mandela one day said a very famous quote: "There is no passion to be found, play small. In setting for a life that is less than one you are capable of living." So what we will say is, if you have an ambition, why to be small? If you have the ambition to team up with others, create the conditions, why to be small? When I said in the company to my fellow colleagues that we have to bid for big projects and take over fantastic, giant projects, they said, but we are an African company, how can we do it? As we have always done it, with effort, with courage, being humble, being competitive, but also being responsive the way that we do our jobs, and being honest. So today, for us, house leadership means to be inclusive, create opportunities for others to benefit from our success as well, be able to provide others opportunities for them to work hand in hand with us. We have, of course, all these wishes and these dreams to be working hand in hand with very big corporations like GE from America, Bechtel, which we have done in Angola, the LNG at Soyu, now with Anadarko in Mozambique, or CBNI. Of course, we have that motivation to drive us in terms of our future, but also motivation to work with a small older farmer or to work with a small entrepreneur from a small village where we are operating, providing the capacity for that company, that person, also to benefit and harvest from our success. So we are not handing on our organization the success, we are extending it and getting conditions for others to benefit. I remember, for instance, one road that we built, people were taking 60 kilometers from the city, taking 2 days to go to the city and come back. We built the road, and people could go in the morning to do their affairs in the city and sell their goods and buy some groceries and come back in the evening. And by doing that, we have created conditions as well to finance some of the small entrepreneurs, and that brought a huge level of confidence towards the company and also appreciation. We really understand the culture in Africa. And the culture in Africa is quite complex. You don't have only one culture for all countries in Africa. You have 54 countries, you have at least 54 different cultures. But within the same country, you have different cultures. So you have really to understand, to open your hands, and you have to integrate. And that is perhaps one of the messages that I'd like to leave today with you. When you go to Africa, you have really to integrate. And I have seen some companies from China, from Europe, even from America, going to Africa, and they try to impose their model. They do not spend enough time to understand and to integrate. And don't spend enough time to understand the core values of the society and the core values of that particular country in order to drive the strategy, in order to achieve something out of those core values. It is also important when you are there to think in Africa as an African, to be in South Africa and thinking as a South African, but if you are in Mozambique as a Mozambican, or if you are in Ghana as Ghanaian, and not thinking in Mozambique or South Africa or Angola as a Portuguese because I born in Portugal, or as an American if you're born in this country. We have really to understand and provide enough to learn from their cultures. Also, leadership means, in my opinion, to be capable to lead others to success. And leading others to success means no creed, no race, and no color.
Yes.
Means for a company to look at someone and see how valuable he is, how intelligent he is, and how capable he is, and give him the opportunity. That for me, it is what means leading. We consider ourselves an African company. We operate in the continent, in different businesses, and we really would like to have opportunities. And opportunities for us means to have other companies to team up with us, to partnerships. We can offer the best in class in terms of compliance, we can offer the best in class in terms of governance and in terms of management. We can offer local networking, we can offer some financial muscle as well. We can offer all the potential or all the solving problems that a new entrant in the market can have. And on the other hand, we'd like to have from others the opportunity for us to be together and building business. And building business means, again, providing the best to our stakeholders and also to our shareholders. But also to address very critical aspects. Because when you are there in Africa, like you are today here in the United States of America, as a citizen, as a company, you have obligations to your country. So myself in Africa, I have obligations to 14 countries. And I'm sincere on this. We have to manage expectations. We have to manage perceptions. We have to create conditions for employment. Also, we have to look today that the population is duplicating. There is a huge amount of youth looking for opportunities. And also, we have to look for women. How to empower women. How to create the conditions to establish partnerships for those that are more disadvantageous, being in the possibility, or in the position, better saying, of success. So we have this issue of partnerships with big organizations, big business, big institutions, big projects, and also partnerships to others to live on the role to solve problems. Being in Africa today, small countries, big in area, but small countries in budget, with lots of constraints in finances, the population duplicating, difficulties to feed people, difficulties to provide education. So you have to be very innovative and very inventive. How do we answer those? Because if you don't answer those, your business will be at risk. If you don't answer that people need to have an employment, they need to generate enough cash to pay their needs, but also to accomplish their dreams, freedom will be at stake. Because people fight for it. So we as stakeholders, we as people that work in every single day in these countries, we have to create the conditions for those expectations to be also met. Of course, we don't have the capacity to solve all the problems, but at our size, at our dimension, we have the obligation to do it. And we are doing it in every single day. So we are today a platform in Africa to welcome companies from each corner of the world that would like to work in Africa, to develop projects in Africa, to invest in Africa, to generate employment in Africa, to have profits, of course, and get their profits paid back to their headquarters, but at the same time to fulfill the condition, what for me is very critical, of ourselves to be fully compliant with objectives and the needs of those particular countries. And at the very same time to work together, and this is where GLBC can be a strong partner for Mota-Engril Africa. A strong partner because you can start changing perception. The summit last year in August in Washington DC, the African summit, start changing the perception. So people when think about Africa, they think about guerrilla or about civil war, about wars, about diseases like Ebola, or about many other problems. But when you go through the data and the information, the statistics, you really see that Africa is not the worst continent. Perhaps Middle East, on the Far East, you have more problems. Perhaps if you go to Latin America, you have more problems, more difficulties. But the perception is Africa is a problem. Is this perception so of bad? When you try to raise money to invest in Africa, the cost of the money is extremely expensive. So you are in a position of disadvantage. You cannot finance a project with the same capability that you do it in other parts of the world. So here, GLBC, at Georgia level, but also at national level, can be one of the highest speakers to start changing this perception and providing empowerment to women, for instance, which are critical. I can tell you a story. Some banks have conducted some polls about people being responsive on paying their loans. And they identified, after the process, a number of banks that 97% of loans given by a bank to women were fully paid on the dot, on the date. Loans given to men, and I'm sorry, I'm a man, it was only 27%. So that shows that we have to take full capacity of this strong drive that can change the society, can be very transformational. And that is why a company not ends its activity on the work that we do, the house that we build, the roads that we construct, or the bridges that we also erect, but also on the transformation of the society at all levels. It looks very impossible, but remember, Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. So, to conclude, and they asked me for 20 minutes, I think I'm on the spot. Africa is a land of opportunities. A land of opportunities because 60% of the arable land in the world, the free arable land of the world, is in Africa. It's an opportunity because the cross-border business in Africa does not exist. You have people importing and exporting from Africa or from countries in Africa to the United States, to Angola, to China, to India, to Europe. But Malawi to sell something to Mozambique, or Malawi to sell something to Zambia, or Angola to sell something to DRC does not exist. Or what exists is very minimal. So the potential of business that translates is huge. Is huge. And moreover, when 10 of the highest economies in the world are growing, or the highest growing economies in the world are in Africa. Countries that are growing at 5.5, 6% per annum. So that has a lot of potential. Of course, I'm not saying that you shall go tomorrow in a plane and jump in Africa and start putting some money and you harvest that investment. You have to study carefully. You have to choose your partners. You have to see what is your return. You have to be competent what you will do. What I'm saying is there is a huge amount of possibilities and opportunities to be done in Africa. Also, only 13.1% of the business in Africa is conducted by women. So there is a huge amount of opportunities for countries like the United States to create conditions and platforms to empower women. And by doing that, also create companies and also creating business. And when you generate business, when you invest $1 in the economy, that $1 will be transformed by 5, but in my humble opinion, in Africa, perhaps by 7 or 10. So you put $1 in the economy, that will translate $7 to $10. Of course, Nigeria is a different case because it's too big an economy. But any other of the 53 other countries, or 52, except in South Africa, if you invest $1 in the economy, at least 5 times that dollar will multiply. So that is in fact a land of opportunities. And I am here before you to say that I'm very grateful and very thankful for this occasion and this opportunity to have this brief speech. But at the very same time, to say that I am prepared to tackle opportunities with you. And if they are available, why not making money? And there is a very famous African saying. In fact, I think it's Zulu. If someone wants to go fast, he shall go alone. But if someone wants to go further, we shall go together. And this is my last message. Thank you so much.
Of top executive managers, serves as the Chief Executive Officer of Mota-Engril Africa, a conglomerate that provides construction, mining, logistics.
Process the words correctly, but it is indeed, and you can count on me when you have these wishes of myself being your ambassador. I will take it with due responsibility, and I will make sure that I honor the Atlanta and Georgia states. Thank you so much.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Uriel Mazago. I am the president and CEO of Uriel Global Magazine and also your Global Foundation. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Okay. Come on, let's go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sabrina Summer Kelly. I am the founder and president of the Caribbean and American Global Business Connections. And I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity. And as you mentioned, sir, we actually are partners with South Africa. I also have an industry in the travel business, and we've just launched in South Africa.
Fantastic.
So I would love to continue to talk with you more about that opportunity. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lois Keith, and I'm with the National Council of Negro Women. I serve on the Executive Board in Washington, D.C., and I'm also on the Zoning Board of Appeals for the DeKalb County government.
Good afternoon. My name is Matilda. I'm the president of Ghana International Chamber of Commerce, and I am so grateful to what you're doing here in Atlanta and trying to bridge the gap between Africa and the business world. So GBLC, I'm really honored and grateful to be here, and I got to meet Mr. Engel this April in DC, so I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much.
We have one more.
Thanks. My name is Jay Hicks. I'm the CEO of Global Asset Development. We work primarily in Côte d'Ivoire, West Africa, in construction, banking, and agriculture. So I'd like to talk to you about some things.
Me too.
Okay, that's good.
I'm Charles Elisha from Nigeria, and I happen to be the business facilitator for a woman-owned company, and we try and transfer a lot of technologies from US to Nigeria and part of Africa. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.